So I've got so many things like nibs, and I just shelved away an entire box of inks for calligraphy. Potentially I could use these inks for painting as well, but you know, the properties of using inks that are meant for writing versus painting is a little bit different. You can probably water it down and then create similar effects and things like that, but I'm hesitant to do it because I think that a lot of it might be extremely staining and very hard to lift when I'm painting and things. I've got pigments as well, so I could consider playing around with it, but for now it's not really my priorities, and like, you know, as a hoarder, I'm gonna just keep it aside. Then I've got more inks here. Oh, so many inks. Ooh, I found watercolor as well. Yeah, I've got white ink. And these are some really pretty bottles of calligraphy ink that are by Fox and Quills. They come in these really nice lab bottles, and then they melted the wax over it to seal it. It's so beautiful. Beautiful colors as well. I'm almost ashamed to say that there were so many supplies that I didn't even realize I had, and it made me feel quite guilty of spending so much money on all of these inks, and I didn't have time to commit to it. So right here, I've got a couple of containers to help me to house my watercolor gouache, and I've not really explored gouache so much, but I've got some of these from Japan when I visited recently, as well as my previous trips. These transparent containers enable me to see the colors and paints better, so it's easier. I've organized them in terms of all the reds, all the greens, and all the blues together so that I can pull out these colors as and when. And then I've also got a lot of watercolor, and I'm organizing them in terms of, again, their color and their shade instead of brand. So previously, I used to organize my paints in brands where I would put all my Holbein together, my Sennelier together, and Winsor & Newton and so on. So this time I wanted to just organize them in colors instead, so that, you know, if I wanted a red, I could just select a red from whatever reds I already owned, and it felt like it was more intuitive for the way I was working. Being the paint hoarder that I am, I also have half pan sets, and these here are from Winsor & Newton, and I've also got other palettes where I've squeezed out paints and I've not finished using them, so I'm storing them all kind of standing up in this container. And I'm ashamed to say that that brown box at the back there is an entire half pan Sennelier set that I've not even used. I've also got plastic containers which I love to use for inks. I store my brushes in these art boxes, and I typically keep all of them assorted where I've got my natural hair brushes on one side, and then I've got some of my acrylic brushes here, some of my student grade brushes that I have not revisited in a while, and I keep them all in a box like this. Apart from that, the ones that are frequently used, I would have them in a bottle, so they're easy for me to access, and it also gets the clutter out of the way. I've accumulated quite a fair bit of art over the years, and I would keep all of these A4 size sheets in a plastic folder, organized according to the subject that I painted them in. I would use a washi tape and help me to label. I also laminated an A4 size paper, and then I put in a label so there's a divider so I can see all the different types of artwork that I have, and it's easy to access when I need to photograph them. I got ceramic palettes and I'm using a dish rack to organize them and keep them upright so that I don't have to stack them. This dish rack also houses my books and it's a great way for you to keep your stuff organized. I saw this hack on Pinterest, so I figured it's so clever and I wanted to do the same for myself. So after you got a chance to see how I decluttered and made space for my art supplies, I hope that this gives you some inspiration to do the same, whether it's for your own space so that you get to also make space for whether it's your new supplies or even to home spaces for supplies that you're using more and more often. I can't wait for us to do this again together. Maybe we should do this yearly or something, or I don't know, every 6 months. So I was so tempted the other day to go into an art store, and at that time when I had not finished decluttering, I was asking myself like, Jillian, should you really go to an art store again? I mean, like, you already got so many things. And to curb myself from that temptation, I told myself that I have to swatch all the colors, which you have already seen, you know, all the different colors that I had, the tubes, the inks, the gouache, basically everything. I told myself that I had to swatch every color that I owned before I actually enter an art store again. So yeah, so that's the next challenge, and you will look forward to a video where I would be showing you my process of swatching all of my paints. I can't wait to take you through that. And in the meantime, I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed showing you and taking you through my decluttering process and also showing you how I organize things. I'd love to hear how you make space for art, how you have also created a system in your own home so that you can use the supplies that you have on a basis that is encouraging and motivating and easy to access. Because I think that the most important thing about making space for me was to make sure that the space was easy to access, was to make sure that there was nothing in the way in terms of roadblocks. Like, there was no excuses I could make to say I couldn't create. It wasn't about like, oh, that thing was too far back in the cupboard. No, none of that. Basically, I wanted to make sure that things were as accessible as possible so that I could create. And I want that for you too. So yes, share with me in the comments. And until then, thank you so much for being here. I'll see you in the next video.